What is up, my friends? In this video, I want to share with you the insights from every psychedelic experience I've had that have stuck with me the most. And I share these insights with you because I truly believe these substances, when used properly, can absolutely change many lives for the better, and could even change the world if more people seek to integrate their experiences. Now, I have not taken any psychedelics for over a year now, but there's a few core insights from the deep LSD and magic mushroom trips I took a while back that have stayed with me, and I live by them and have sought and continue to seek to integrate them into my life and everyday experience. I have waited this long to make this video because I think oftentimes after people have profound trips, they're very quick to go latch onto and preach certain ideas and concepts they experienced on the trip as absolute truth. And they may use these principles as a sort of new belief system. I was certainly guilty of this to a degree, and I'm not saying psychedelics don't point us towards truths. I absolutely believe they do, but adopting insights as a new belief system without truly seeking to integrate them and understand them deeper, I believe only strengthens the ego's grasp over the mind, whereas a key message of psychedelics, in my opinion, is to weaken the ego's grasp over the mind. So now that I have had over a year to think about what I experienced, integrate what I felt was worth integrating, and now that the initial afterglow of these psychedelics has worn off, I want to share with you what has stayed with me the most, because there's a lot to say, there really is. Psychedelics are so freaking powerful and completely change your views on reality and who you are. So without further ado, let's get into these insights. Alright, so the first insight, and this one is by far the most crystal clear to me out of all of them, is that the ego is a pure illusion. And when I say ego, I'm just referring to your sense of self or your identity. It's the belief that who you are is something in here that's looking out and experiencing a separate world out there. And because of this core belief, we always have a blanket over our awareness that causes us to see reality only for how it can serve the self, how it can survive, rather than for what it actually is. And obviously, this is not a bad thing. If we didn't have this ego, we'd never even be here in the first place. It's a survival mechanism. If we didn't have this self that we believe needed defending, then we would not have much of a drive to survive. And you're only here because thousands upon thousands of generations before you were able to survive and reproduce. So you inherited all of those traits that made them survive well. It's just basic evolution. So recognize that the way your eyes see, the way your ears hear, and the way you think, the distinctions you make about things, good, bad, right, wrong, true, false, big, small, along with all the labels you slap on things like tree, sky, snail, grass, chair, they're all ways in which the ego divides up what is experienced within consciousness in order for it to better function in the world and thus survive better. So what happens is that you end up living in this conceptual world based on the concepts, labels, beliefs, thought patterns, and behaviors that the ego adopts in order to function at the highest level possible. And thus everything you encounter within reality will be filtered through all of the labels, beliefs, and concepts that you have adopted. And this ego can certainly seem and feel totally and completely real, don't get me wrong, but it's only real for you as long as you're identified with it. And if I never had a mystical experience before where I directly experienced this to be true, and someone started talking to me about this concept, I'd have a very hard time understanding. Trying to imagine what a state of no self would be like without actually experiencing it is like trying to imagine a color you've never seen before. You just can't do it. So I think a very important thing to integrate after you've realized the ego is an illusion, it's not to hate the ego, not kill it. Like I hear so many people say, you can't kill the ego, it's a part of you as long as you are a human being, but to just not let it run your life like it had before. I firmly believe that all suffering stems from the belief of being a separate self. and the problems that plague the world also stem from this core belief. Once you realize it for what it is as just a mechanism, it automatically does have a lot less power over you. But what I've found in my experience is that there's still so many ingrained habits and thought patterns and beliefs that are holding me back, that are making me suffer unnecessarily. So I've started meditating. It's a mindfulness practice that has really helped me not allow the ego to be the driver of my life. And because of this practice, I suffer a lot less now, and my baseline state of consciousness is naturally much more at peace and much more blissful. So I highly recommend that practice for integration of psychedelic trips and just going through life in general. I made a video last week about how to start meditating, so if you are interested in that, definitely check that out. That's it for this insight. So the next insight that is also crystal clear to me and directly relates to the last one is that we're all one. A lot of you guys have probably heard this one before, and it's one pretty much everyone who has had a powerful psychedelic experience preaches, but it's simply true. Before I had ever done LSD or mushrooms, I had heard this term oneness, and we're all one thrown around often, but it seemed very airy-fairy to me, and I didn't really understand what it meant. I might have just thought it was wishful thinking or something. But after having my sense of self completely dissipate into the void and my consciousness had been thrust out of the ego mind, this truth became crystal clear to me, and I mean crystal clear. So clear that it made my entire life of being a human seem like just a dream, like not even real at all. But in that headspace, I did not experience time, nor did I really perceive distance or differentiate between objects either. My sense of self was absolutely everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. It was not bound to my body. Everything was absolutely uniform, and everything seemed absolutely perfect, because there was no ego mind to make a judgment that reality was not perfect, that something was wrong. There was no ego mind to project itself into the past or into the future. There was no ego mind to make distinctions within consciousness and give things labels and concepts. I was completely and utterly 100% in the present moment at that moment. I felt absolutely one with everything, and it was a beautiful feeling, and coming down from that experience, well, I was confused for a while because it was so foreign to me, but I did some research and I found that another word for this was non-duality. And dual means two, so non-duality just means not two. And what this philosophy basically says is that, it's the notion that there is just one essence or spirit of existence, and absolutely everything in the universe is a part of that one essence or spirit. And doing even more research, I found that non-duality is basically the highest teaching in all of religion and all of spirituality. And this is what most religions are pointing towards, and it's the reason people love Jesus and Buddha so much. They were able to embody this non-dual awareness. They were enlightened. They were able to embody unconditional love. And the world needs more of that. So I'm comfortable calling those experiences I had on LSD and mushrooms enlightenment experiences. Of course, they come with all the baggage that LSD and mushrooms come with, like trippy visuals and weird thoughts and stuff, but in terms of the raw perception, it was exactly what I believe enlightenment to be. So the third insight is that there is an incomprehensible intelligence to the universe, so intelligent that we as humans cannot even begin to fathom it. We humans like to think of ourselves as the most intelligent species on Earth, and I believe we are, but that is absolutely nothing compared to the universe as a whole. I remember breaking through on mushrooms and just absolutely marveling and saying, it's so amazing. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. Oh my God. And I thought about how everything outside of myself, everything outside of this body-mind here is simultaneously giving rise to this body-mind. So I can only exist right now because everything before me played out perfectly so that I was born, and I'm only the type of person I am today because the world has shaped me in such a way. I am the creation of billions of years of the universe intelligently engineering me. And I thought about how complex that all is, how everything fits together and works so well. And I remember marveling, and I was like, how could this be? How could it be this intelligent? It's so amazing. So I believe the universe could very well be a single organism or being, and what I am as this human is a piece of that greater whole. And I think it'd be a very big error to assume that all of this just somehow assembled itself completely randomly, like an accident. And just analyzing patterns throughout history and looking at various scientific and psychological models, I see that humanity is growing. We're becoming, as a whole, a more loving and more conscious species. Not even long ago, we were hanging people, cutting people's heads off at the guillotine in public display. We were executing people for not believing a certain thing. We were enslaving people without thinking about it. And while similar atrocities still happen every day throughout the world, what I'm saying is that as a whole, we're getting better. You cannot deny the progress that's been made in just the last couple thousand years of humanity's history. So what I think we should all do is align ourselves with this force that is pushing towards humanity to what seems like higher love and higher consciousness and just awareness of all beings, and use this lifetime to help move the process along and help make Earth a more loving and wholesome place. The next one is that death is nothing to be feared. Of course I fear how I'll die. I don't want to be tortured to death or die slowly from some agonizing disease. I don't want to die young, but what I'm saying is that on the other side, after this life, it's nothing to be feared. Because what fears is the ego mind. The ego mind projecting into the future something that is bad for itself. But when you die, you don't take the ego mind with you. The ego mind is tied to the body. So when the body dies, so does the ego. We are a part of a much greater whole here in reality. I cannot tell you what happens, I don't know, but I strongly believe that the universe has got it covered, and whatever is next is whatever is next. It is what it is, and there's no reason to fear it. The last insight is that psychedelics are just tools. Tools to help you realize these profound truths about the self and the nature of reality, so you can then integrate them back here on Earth. Because humanity could definitely stand to have more people who embody non-dual awareness, or are at least trying to. I think too many people get lost trying to have that spiritual high and have the most insane insights possible. But if you have an insane insight and can't integrate it back here on Earth, then what's the point? Because at the end of the day, once we're back into our bodies after these intense experiences, we're just like everyone else, one human out of nearly 8 billion, in a very imperfect world, a world that needs changing, a world that needs you. So rather than having the insight and doing nothing, use the insight to make a change for your life and for the world. Look deeper into that insight. I believe that if our society had a healthy relationship with psychedelics, and that they were not demonized, and that they were not listed as a Schedule 1 drug here in America, which essentially says that they have high addictive potential and serve no medicinal or therapeutic benefit, which is completely and utterly false, by the way, then we would have facilities where people could go to have guided trips with professional trip sitters to guide them through this profound and amazing experience. Of course, I am not promoting you to take psychedelics. If you're not ready, if you're not in the right set and setting, it can fuck you up. It fucked me up for a little bit. So don't just see this video and go and do them. If you are going to do them, make sure you know what you're getting yourself into and that you have done a lot of research beforehand. And that's all I wanted to say for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you. These were just some of the core insights, and I do have more actually that have changed my life, so if this video performs well, maybe I'll do a part 2 with some more insights. And yeah, if you wish to support my work on a deeper level, I do have a Patreon where we have a book club on there, where we talk about psychedelics, spirituality, and consciousness, or whatever other related topic once a month, and I make a video about it, and we discuss it, and I plan to start that back up in March, because we haven't done a book yet in 2021, but if that interests you, please consider supporting. Also follow me on Instagram at thecuriousminds434, and that's it, guys. Have a great day and peace.